Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, and a very warm welcome from Switzerland. My name is Peter Petros. I'm CEO and founder of PEDCO, Managed Process Services. Thank you very much for your time and interest in SAFe and its application in practice with Applied SAFe. Thanks also to our collaboration partner Method Park, which hosts this session today. With Applied SAFe, our implementation of SAFe in stages, we have a solution to scale agility on an enterprise level and to combine efficiency and compliance. Today, I would like to give you a brief introduction to SAFe and a glimpse on what Applied SAFe is and how it is implemented. We have prepared the following agenda. After a short introduction, we give you an overview to the layers, concepts, and some of the mechanics used in the Scaled Agile Framework. Then we have 3 slides and a demo of the key capabilities of Applied SAFe. This is followed by a possible way of how to implement SAFe. We intend to leave at least 10 minutes for questions and answers at the end of the presentations. If you have immediate understanding questions, please raise your hand at the toolbar. You can type in your questions at any time and we will collect them and answer them as time allows in the questions and answers time slot. Our company provides solutions organized in 3 pillars. With Managed Process Services, we provide services around creation, selection, assessment, and process management. The pillar on the right is providing training on lean, sustainable practices like Agile, HR, compliance, and process management. Further, some SAFe trainings and trainings to learn specific aspects of Applied SAFe. In the middle is SAFe and its implementation with Applied SAFe, which is the topic of today's webinar. With Applied SAFe, we provide know-how and processes for people building the most important systems. For this, we work together with our worldwide transformation partners and our collaboration partners Scaled Agile and Method Park. PEDCO has direct access to the thought leadership and all the content of SAFe, which is the de-facto standard for agility at scale. And combined with that, we have direct access to stages, which is for us the world-leading process management tool, and we as system integrators, we have integrated both the framework and the platform into a unique product, which we call Applied SAFe. PEDCO's global transformation partners are companies believing in scaled agility and the power of Applied SAFe as an implementation of the Scaled Agile Framework. They are trained with Applied SAFe and they are able to coach and consult a company's journey towards scaled agility. The number of partners is constantly growing and we are proud to have such high value names among our partners. Without further ado, I would like to start talking about SAFe. SAFe and its layers, roles, values, and some reasoning for SAFe. I'm guessing for the most of us 20 or 30 years ago, we didn't think developing would be like this. We thought we would be developing at massively powerful workstations, which we are, and using 3rd generation, 4th generation, 5th generation languages, which we largely have. I remember the time when I was teacher at IBM for Visual Smalltalk, and we were really creating and dragging, dropping class libraries, connecting those elements together, coding some business logic and scripting answers, and then jam all together and have an application. But it hasn't really turned out that way at all. For many of us, it sometimes feels more like this. Of course, you could say, hey, at least they are collocated, and that's a luxury that many of us don't have in these days, but it's not that much fun as it looks like. One of the results, especially as we build systems that are larger and more complex, is that our retrospectives are still troublesome. And that means that our results are still troublesome. And sometimes they look like this. We have no way to improve systematically, too little visibility, late delivery, problems discovered too late, massive growth in complexity, underestimated dependencies, that's a typical one. And if we count that together, the net result is that when we don't deliver large systems on time and on schedule with the required quality, we have poor morale. What's the impact of poor morale on the development environment? It makes just everything worse. So it's clear that we need something different. And so let's talk about the Scaled Agile Framework. SAFe, which is the abbreviation for the Scaled Agile Framework, is based on a huge body of knowledge: lean thinking, lean product development, system engineering, and agile. The knowledge of the framework isn't a one-time learning event. It's an ongoing process, and it is for us as well. It started with 1.0 in 2011 in the public website, published with its first publication, and almost every year with a new version since then. SAFe is an online, freely revealed knowledge base of proven success patterns for implementing lean agile development at enterprise scale. Companies like John Deere, Intel, Lego, Telstra have published case studies citing the business benefits, and the list is growing every day. What I show you right now is referred in SAFe as the big picture. At first, it may look complicated, but as we will see, it is actually a very straightforward and logical representation. By decomposing the SAFe big picture into its parts, we discover that it's a simple, powerful, and easily understood framework for managing complex software and systems development. SAFe consists of several levels. The levels in SAFe are not structured for control, rather they are for centralizing strategy and decentralizing program execution. Here we see the 4 levels of SAFe. On top it's portfolio, value stream, program, and team. In the small to mid-size enterprise, one SAFe portfolio can typically be used to govern the entire technical solution set. In larger enterprises, those with 500 to 1,000 technical practitioners, there can be multiple SAFe portfolios, one for each line of business. And each portfolio contains a set of value streams in the middle here, and the value streams are intended for builders of large and complex solutions that typically require multiple arts and suppliers. This is for enterprises facing the largest system challenges, building multidisciplinary and cyber-physical systems. And not all organizations will need the value stream level. The team on the bottom and the program level make up the long-lived, self-organizing virtual organization known as the Agile Release Train, in abbreviation ART. Without the teams, there would be no program. The ART plans, commits, and executes together with the teams. And this is the so-called 3-level SAFe. It is the standard view of SAFe if you look up the framework in the website. For those of you building systems of modest scale products that can be built with 30 to 50 practitioners, this is all you need: the team, the program, and the portfolio level. On the smallest possible configuration, we have Essential SAFe. It is a subset that describes the minimal elements necessary to be successful. Without this, or with less, you're not doing SAFe anymore. In knowledge-based work, the people are truly the assets of an organization. And so let's move to the team level on the bottom. Here we have small cross-functional teams that are empowered to make localized decisions to get work done. Each Agile team has a Scrum Master, a product owner, developers, testers, and other necessary team roles. On the program level, The release train engineer facilitates the activities of the Agile release train, much like the Scrum Master facilitates the activities of the team. And product management is responsible for the program vision and the roadmap. They prioritize the work in program backlog, much like product owners do in the team backlog. The system architect plays a critical role in helping aligning teams in a common technical direction. And business owners, they share the responsibility for the value delivered by a specific Agile release train. The roles on the value stream are similar to those on the program level. On the portfolio level, the top level, we have the program portfolio management team responsible for strategy and investment funding, program execution, and governance. The enterprise architect works across value streams and Agile release trains to provide strategic technical guidance. The epic owner takes responsibility for the business case and implementation guidance of initiatives, which we call epics in SAFe. In Agile, requirements are managed in a construct known as a backlog. Backlog items are elaborated at a level of detail appropriate to the phase of development. There are 4 levels of backlogs which comprise the enterprise backlog model. Portfolio backlog contains epics, value stream backlog contains capabilities, program backlog contains features, and team backlog contains stories. The backlogs contain prioritized functionality and enablers. Enablers, these are the red elements here, are the exploration, architecture, and infrastructure needed to support the functionality. The epics are identified and progressively elaborated as they flow through the portfolio Kanban system. The Kanban system makes the strategic business initiatives visible and brings a structured analysis process driven by economics. There are Kanban systems at the value stream and the program level as well. The epics are broken down into capabilities, and prioritization is guided by the vision and the roadmap. Capabilities are then broken down into features, and the features are broken down into stories, which are finally really executed by the Agile teams. This is the real work done then. And the cadence, which we have in SAFe, is a time box that provides a heartbeat. It is critical for synchronizing teams on the Agile release train. At the team level, the teams work in 2-week iterations, which we call increments, which we call iterations. They begin each iteration with planning and end with a demo and the retrospectives. At the program level, the teams on the Agile release train work in 8 to 12-week increments, which we call program increments, or PIs. A PI begins with a higher level planning event called PI planning and ends with a demo and retrospective known as inspect and adopt. The teams of the Agile release train develop on cadence, but they can release at any time based on the business needs. And at the value stream level, additional coordination activities may be required to align all Agile release trains and suppliers in the value stream. Continuous improvement is not enough. We need to be relentless with a sense of urgency and danger, and there are several events built into SAFe to ensure that this happens really. And we think that an enterprise is never agile. It is just always becoming more and more agile. So each cross-functional team conducts a retrospective at the end of every iteration. Collectively, the entire Agile release train has a retrospective at the end of every program increment as part of the Inspect and Adopt workshop. An Inspect and Adopt workshop also happens at the value stream level. And although that everyone is responsible for relentless improvement, there are several key roles. There's the Scrum Master, the Release Train Engineer, and the Value Stream Engineer. The Lean Agile leaders They remove impediments and continuously improve the system in which teams operate. During the innovation and planning, the IP sprints, and teams may have continuing education opportunities and hackathons where new approaches, tools, techniques, and prototypes are explored and demonstrated. As a SAFe principle, we want to take an economic view and make sound decisions at all times. SAFe organizes around value streams to understand and deliver value. And as Donald Reinhardson says, you can ignore the economics, but they won't ignore you. So the connection between the enterprise business strategy and the portfolio is through strategic teams. Based on these strategic teams, budgets are allocated to value streams. And epics are progressively analyzed as they move through the portfolio Kanban system. We will see that in the demo of Applied SAFe again. Sequencing of all backlog items is done via prioritization practices by the various management roles on each level. The solution intent is the evolving understanding of what needs to be built and how it should be built. And finally, the business determines when a solution needs to be released. And now we are back on where we have started. We saw that roles, artifacts, and activities are clearly defined based on proven principles and practices. After decomposing the SAFe big picture into its parts, we have learned that it's simple, powerful, and easy to understand framework for managing complex software and system development. With that, I would like to conclude with SAFe and start to talk about Applied SAFe. Our implementation of SAFe in stages. We'll need 3 slides, and the rest of the time will be used for a demo and its capability to show its capabilities. So, what is Applied SAFe? Applied SAFe is a fully fledged ALM tool-agnostic implementation of SAFe as a process model. We see here the entry page of Applied SAFe in a browser. Applied SAFe is implemented as a comprehensive executable process model. It includes all roles, activities, templates, guidelines, metrics, milestones needed to bring such a framework to life. It builds on SAFe 4.0, which is for us the de facto standard to scale agility on an enterprise level. If you have followed the success of SAFe over the past years, you know that there is just a tremendous momentum behind that framework. Applied SAFe is ready to go with implementation and allows organizations to start using the framework almost immediately. You can instantiate independently on each level as on portfolio, value stream, program, and team. This enables you, for example, to run multiple programs, each with its own process instance and variation of the very same basic process. As required and also stated by SAFe, you can customize all elements of the process model to your needs with built-in tailoring. The built-in mechanisms ensure that compliance with regulated environments of each process instance can be maintained. You can extend, adapt, and integrate with your own process assets, and when Scaled Agile comes up with a new version of SAFe, Applied SAFe will be automatically supporting the upgrade process with its upward capability. We have developed and still develop Applied SAFe very close with Scaled Agile, and each release is also officially approved by Scaled Agile. If you know SAFe, you have seen it on the website probably, then you know that that you can freely read the content of SAFe on its website. But you cannot use the content as it is copyright protected. If you buy Applied SAFe, we have the content licensed by Scaled Agile, and therefore the content you already learned in SAFe classes doesn't have to be rephrased for your company just due to copyright reasons. And Applied SAFe can further include and ensure compliance with various reference models, and we have built Applied SAFe with CMMI maturity level 5 in mind, and therefore we combine compliance and efficiency in order to scale agility on an enterprise level. Next slide is about applied safe implementation and its context with the underlying tool stages. We have been working in several companies for the last 10 years with stages, and we really would like to say that for us this is the world-leading tool for process management. And what most companies, customers of us have, they already have their organizational processes, they have their best practices, their process assets, their SOPs. And what they do, they take applied safe and enhance it, improve it, adopt it, integrate it, and extend it with until they have their own organizational processes. And what they usually have to do, they have to make sure that they are compliant with maturity models like CMMI or industry standards like Automotive Spice 3.0, IC 62304, or their own company standards. Most customers, they are faced with supporting several reference models at the same time. And one lady from an automotive company in Detroit once told me, "Peter, we are able to produce such processes, but at the end we produced monster processes." And if you ask knowledge workers to work in adherence to monster processes, they will take it as an offense. And they're right. So what we are proposing to mitigate that risk is that we instantiate and tailor the specific needs of the various programs to the real needs of what the programs have, while still be able to show that they're compliant with that, what has been stated as a requirement. So here in this example, we would have 3 different process variations of that organizational process for each its own program. And while they have 2 programs probably could be publicly facing, they have much more risk exposure than the 3rd program, which is just developing an application for an in-house system. Now, these teams, these agile release teams with probably 100 people in each program, they would work accordingly to their own process, and with that they will produce their own measurements, they would have their own metrics, they would have their own knowledge assets and some improvement ideas. And that is something that we have to bring together into an organizational understanding that this is the relentless improvement which we want to achieve, so that the applied safe and the safe in your company can get better and better with the time. And as for value proposition, I would like to mention just some buzzwords and demonstrate those benefits with applied safe. For your convenience, you will find some texted value propositions in your slide deck, which you will receive after that presentation. With applied safe, you're able to implement fast and precise. You can build on a full implementation and sharpen discussions with precise definitions. You can avoid constant discussions on how something can be interpreted, and this gives you the possibility to maximize focus on your value delivery. You can customize and extend safe. Thereby you can reduce waste and save money by using the pre-built tailoring options in applied safe. You can prove compliance with a minimal effort. Applied safe is prepared to sustain various reference models like CMMI, Automotive Spice, IC 62304, CTR 180, the FDA requirements, and others as well. And last, you can learn, innovate, and improve. You can build on level 5 enterprise capabilities defined additionally to SAFe by PEDCO in order to optimize your organizational overall performance. With that, I would like to hand over to the staging environment in stages, and the first thing I would like to talk to you is about implement fast and precise. And for doing that, I'm using a persona of Tom. And for our example, Tom is new in the company. He has several years experience in IT and has been working in agile teams for several years. He loves to code and test, but hasn't heard that much about scaled agility yet. He's aware of Scrum, has no knowledge about SAFe, and now Tom is interested to see how portfolio steered at his new company where he started just 1 week ago. For that, I would like to switch over to the applied SAFe, and you see here it's in a browser. I just press F11, so we have a full screen mode. And you see that we have 3 configurations of applied SAFe: the applied SAFe Essential, the 3-level SAFe, and the 4-level SAFe. And this comes all out of the very same process model. This is just done by using the built-in tailoring mechanisms by itself as well. So I go to the 4-level SAFe model for that example. And what we see here is the big picture, which I just showed you, and it looks exactly the same as it looks in on the web page. And what you can do now is you can click, for example, on Portfolio, and Tom sees, aha, here is a portfolio, and it looks the same as on the big picture, but just much, much smaller. That's a much smaller process to understand. There are just 3 roles involved. There's a Kanban board and the budget value streams I see. And what I can do, for example, if Tom is interested, he would go on the Kanban board. And what Tom sees immediately is that there's a process description with the SAFe logo. That means it comes from SAFe. This is really from the book. But what we have done in addition, we have decomposed applied SAFe into its activities, into a process model, and Tom would click on Analyze Epic because he's interested to be responsible for some epics. Now, what he sees in the description is always what shall be done. We have designed it that way that in a description you will always find what shall be done. If you want to know how something can be done, this is laid out in practices. In Analyze Epics, we talk a lot about prioritization, and prioritization can be done in various ways. And there can be a planning poker from Scrum, a capitalization, weighted shortest job first prioritization as defined by the Scaled Agile Framework. And if you want to learn about that, you can click on it and you will get a practice description how that works. And the weighted shortest job first prioritization favors jobs and features, capabilities, epics, which bring the highest value to the customer in the shortest time possible. And if you want to learn about it, if you need some training, you can get on the recommended training, which would be the SAFe training, or Tom could look at just one of the recommended additional trainings and would see that video with the slide deck where he could learn about how that works. We go back to Analyze Epic where we have been, and if you know stages, then you're not surprised that this picture here is not a picture. This is rendered from the engine of stages, and you have the possibility to switch the views on that. So you can say, hey, I've seen that several times. I just need a little kick. So that means give me an execution view, and I just will execute that. And if you want to do, if you're really a detailed guy, you can say, hey, Tom, I want to see it really in reality in every detail, and you can display it as a SIPOC view. So you have the supplier input process, output consuming process, and as you see when I hover over, they're all navigatable. So you can switch to all those consuming processes and they'll go on and forth. This is typically very interesting for the quality guys, but Tom probably wants to see just the swim lanes with the roles and the activities. What we see here also is, as I said, that we are tool agnostic, is that we have stated here that this Analyze Epic, that whole Kanban board is done with a Kanban board, and if you're working, for example, with the Jira or the Rational Tool Suite, then you just could replace that tool with the appropriate tool, and all the activities would be stated that this is done with Jira, for example. So this helps Tom a lot to understand what he is supposed to do and which role is responsible to do something, and we have enhanced that with a RASIC, where you see the responsible roles, roles which are supporting here in that analyzation of the epics, and who is really accountable for doing that. What we have done in addition is, for each activity, you have the input work products and the output work products as they are defined in SAFe as well. But we have here the templates, and you see also the dependencies between elements which existed before and elements which are dependent on the epic lightweight business case of an epic. If you want to see all the work products and its dependencies, we have created views for each process domain. And in Epic Kanban, these are the work products of relevance, and we see immediately that we have a portfolio backlog which consists of several epics. And if you like to read UML, it's an abstract class here, and each epic is either an architectural epic or a business epic, and it consists of a value statement and a lightweight business case. And this is the object we just have seen before. An epic is always a backlog item in SAFe, and in SAFe these are considered as a requirement which are constrained by non-functional requirements. If you wonder how many work products we have on the portfolio level and the other levels, this is just an example of all the work products in portfolio, and you see it's still a very lean and simple construct on the portfolio level. There are not thousands of work products, there are just 20 or 15 work products used in that level. They're all navigatable, I didn't show that, and so you can click on it and you see how it would be handled with the work products. What we also see is that we have different roles, and if Tom would be interested to become an epic owner, which creates the epic and the lightweight business case, he could go on the role epic owner, and he would see from SAFe the description of what it does. But in applied SAFe, he really sees, hey, you're responsible for these activities. You're supposed to support here in these activities, and you are taken accountable for these activities in that model. So again, this makes it much, much easier if you have new employees in your company to bring them up to speed, to ramp them up so that they can really perform in the SAFe programs, in the SAFe portfolio and value streams and teams, and start producing value as soon as possible, much, much faster, as if they just would have to read a thick book and interpret everything by themselves and discuss it with the other colleagues. With that, I would like to conclude with the demo for Tom, because Tom is satisfied and I guess he wants to become an epic owner soon while he's working in a team right now. And the next thing I would like to talk to you is about establishing compliance. In some environments, it is just given to talk about regulatory and compliance, because otherwise you're just out of business. And in these environments, by building the most complex systems and high assurance systems, we talk about quality, documentation, safety, security, specification, verification, validation, inspections, audits, sign-offs, documented quality management systems, and more. By interpreting the Agile Manifesto, some Agile people tend to argue that Agile and compliance doesn't get along. I am in the strong opinion that this is not true. By selecting the right hooks in the Scaled Agile Framework, you can even achieve high maturity levels with various reference models. We did a complete mapping to Automotive Spice 3.0, and we can fulfill that model. And this has been proven, and with all the reference models, this has been proven several times with Automotive Spice, CMMI, and other reference models in various occasions. I have been at the 2014 CMMI World Conference, and the lead appraisers there all stated and agreed on that CMMI maturity level 5 can be reached with Agile methods as well. by the way, I will have a speech at the 2017 Capability Counts Conference in Washington again, where I will talk about scaled agility in regulated environments. And so we should talk a little bit about process design for regulated environments, because processes need to comply, not to replicate the reference model. I've seen in several locations that companies try to replicate the reference model, and what they do is, it's easy for an assessment. They take the reference model and say, hey, the process areas are named the same as in the reference model, the practices are named the same, and the work products, and it's very easy to do and to prove that you're compliant, but we really don't recommend that, because it doesn't reflect that what a company is really doing. In a reasonable company, they say, hey, we have our own process, and we have Epic Kanban, for example, and the way we do it, we like it, and it's better for us because we know our work products like the software architecture document, the configuration management plan, and we have our roles, the business owner, developer, tester, and so on. And what we do, we take our reference models and we map that. We have generic practice X.1, and you see now, hey, that same practice is reflected in two different activities in the process model, and you can go on and on for several reference models, and yeah, finally you have a referential mapping. Of course, this is harder for the QA and for the assessment team, but it's optimized for the usage in company, and with that you reach real compliance in your process. Sadly, it is not what regulators want to see. They don't want to see that you have compliant processes. They want to see that you're really doing what you have said so that you adhere to these processes. And we call that process adherence. And that means what you can do to prove it is you prove the work products which are defined in the process, that they really exist. So you will have some work products, you have metrics on that, and roles are not just only roles, but they have names. So it's Tom and Linda and Michael working in such a process model in the various process instances. And how you can prove that in a reference model, you take, for example, Automotive Spice 3.0. You have here the reference model. We have hooked it up with the process model of Applied Safe, and we select here a specific element of that reference model, 1703, and you see here the whole text which is included in that reference model. We say, hey, these statements over there, we are covering with those work products, activities, roles, milestones. This is just an excerpt to with our process assets that map and standard. And we can also identify gaps because we take the percentage rating from ISO 15505, where you have defined how you can do measures 70%, 50%, and so on. And we have done that completely for Automotive Spice 3.0. Where you see only 2 stars and not 3 stars is the area where we can't take any decision, because that is really depending on the customer. So they have to do the rest of the fulfillment by themselves by extending Applied Safe to their needs. The next advantage or benefits of Applied Safe I wanted to talk with is customization. And people knowing the big picture of Applied Safe, they sometimes see it as a static picture, but it isn't true at all. You have an enterprise which consists of portfolio. A portfolio can consist of a value stream if it's complicated, or directly programs without the value stream, and you can always find mix between those configurations as well. And each program always consists of 3 to 10 teams. So you have from 50 to 125 people in one agile release train. This reflects the smaller business where you have one value stream, one art. You have the larger business with multiple value streams, and the largest business where you have multiple safe portfolios, some larger, some smaller. And this could be reflected in such a model for a Swiss banking institute that you have 3 portfolios: trading, payments, customer. And the trading portfolio would be divided into 2 value streams: reference data and market data, and one small program which is called the street side program directly in the portfolio trading, several other programs in reference data and in in that program, BDPS, you have 4 teams, for example. Now it's true that each separate box here, which you see, can its very own process variation of the very same process. So they can all work similar, but not exactly the same. So it's not a one-size-fits-all. And this is done by assisted tailoring, and some people would call that also a customization wizard. And I will demonstrate that with Linda. And Linda, she's a program manager. She has done 1 PI so far. She's trained in SAFe. She has all the knowledge. And after the first inspect and adopt, they have decided that they want to adjust their process to their specific needs a little bit. And that's what I want to show with Linda. And now we go back to the stages environment. Click on the browser. And we go on the portfolio again. And to navigate on enterprise. And what Linda, she's working on a program. She's responsible for that program. And we are here now in the program description, which is blocked. This is what all the members of the program, these 100 people, see. They can't change that at all. Linda, she is privileged because she's responsible for that program. And what she can do, she can change the process version, and she can go onto a working revision, which is only visible to her. And what she can do now, if it's a working revision, she can change it, and you can change it. The best way Linda can change it is with Tailoring Assistant. Tailoring Assistant, I told you, it's like a customization wizard, and this is built on a hierarchical question tree. That means depending on how you answer the questions, you will get more or less questions. And if you take the pre-configured configuration, you only have to answer 1 question. And if you want to be more specific, you can go into more specific, and then you get more questions. And that's what we do. And we are in a 4-level SAFe configuration. This is already clear. And now SAFe consists of a lot of questions. In these conditions, you could do it this way or the other way around. And there are these questions which are coming up from SAFe, from the model itself, and we have built that into the model as well. So we can say, no, we don't have to provide a system team. Linda has said that they don't want to do that. They don't want to coordinate with other trains. And they don't want to work with program epics anymore. So what they do, they just say, hey, that is all, and we don't want to change anything on applied SAFe. And we do the next query. And now we have changed the model itself. And if we are fine with that, if we have no violation of any reference models, we can say save. And the process has been changed accordingly. And this is all I wanted to show, because that is very easy. And now she can release that process to their teams. And for the next PI, the 100 people would work against the new process version, which has been altered in respect to the older version. The next thing I would like to talk to you, to show you, is about extension of applied SAFe. And it is common that a lot of companies are just starting with a Scaled Agile Framework. They start with first train, second train, and still they have their waterfall programs. And one possible solution is that you would have steered them by the portfolio level with SAFe, and you say, hey, some programs are working in the SAFe mode, and other programs with 100 people are still working as they are used to in waterfall programs. And we have also strategies for that. And if you received the slide deck, you can click on it, and then you can read through such a strategy, how it is described and what you should do for that. For the sake of time, I don't want to show you how you can extend or change it. It's very easy. It's our concept that all our customers can change, extend, adopt applied SAFe to their own needs by themselves. All they need is a 3 days process engineering training, and then they are up and running with applied SAFe and doing SAFe. So this is very easy to do, and for the sake of time, I just will continue with the demonstration. What we have built into applied SAFe as the last pillar is the level 5 capabilities: learn, innovate, and improve. And there are some processes on enterprise level where we come up with the organizational process focus, and process like process assessment, improvement management, process definition, organizational process training, deployment, organizational learning, governance, execution, and establishment. These are all processes which are asked for in a regulated environment as well, and this is why we have to build them additionally to the SAFe model. And a lot of people are asking, well, how can I implement applied SAFe? And we have a guided approach, and in the past there used to be a very simplistic model which was called the 1, 2, 3 model. Is you train the change agents, the executives, and then you start. But as we have seen with experience in the last years, it's still a little bit more complicated. And we have here a green Go SAFe button, and once that button is pushed, then you have to make sure that you have people who really lead the change. These are usually internal people which are educated in implementing SAFe. There's an official training from the Scaled Agile Incorporation, not from us. And then we train those agents. Then we train the managers, the whole leadership in an organization, because that is really important that we do so. And once they are trained, then we can identify on the value streams, if they're not defined yet, what is really creating the value in an organization. And now you have to take into respect that we are in regulated environments, or we build high assurance systems. We are building complex systems. So we have to make sure that we implement, that we have an implementation plan, and that our process is really reflecting what we are doing, what we are used to, the specific practices which we are already doing since decades, that this is all integrated in SAFe. And so we will prepare for an art launch, and we will prepare with applied SAFe as well. And then finally, when we are fine with that, probably takes 3 months or 4 or 6 months probably, then we are ready to start with the first train. And we train all the people from one Agile release train with a SAFe for Teams with a 2 days training. And then we start with first PI planning, when they plan all together and commit themselves to an overall goal. And then we launch the first art. And then by experience, by doing it more and more, having more experience, we can launch more and more trains in the value stream, and we get better and better in the portfolio, and we sustain and improve and reach the business results, which I just will show you in a minute. And this picture is not officially revealed right now. It has been constructed together with Jennifer Fawcett, which is a SAFe fellow, one of the 5 SAFe fellows from Scaled Agile. And if we do SAFe, and then some results at hand, the real world experience with SAFe, and there has been some hundreds of case studies. They're all written by the companies doing SAFe. They're not edited by Scaled Agile. They're not edited by Applied SAFe and PEDCO. They're really coming directly from the customers doing SAFe. And they have said that their time to market increased dramatically, up to 75%, and their quality increased. They have 50% less defects in their systems. The productivity increased from 20 to 50%, and the most important, I think, is that they have happier, more motivated employees. So the engagement rate goes up, and the moral gets, and they don't have poor moral anymore, and this really increases and changes the whole system. You can look up those case studies on that URL, and there are several companies here. We have Intel, Nordeas, Telstra, John Deere. Just look it up. Swisscom is there. There are just hundreds of companies, and I'm sure you will find one company which is close to your company and read of their experience, what they have achieved. And with that, I would like to conclude with the benefit with Applied SAFe is we make your engineering process agile and compliant to improve your overall value delivery. There's a lot of text. You can read it by your own if you're interested in. And now I would ask you, if you're ready to scale agility, if you're interested to push the green Go SAFe button. If you wonder if SAFe is the right thing for you, if you wonder how Applied SAFe could be of benefit for you, then get in contact with us. We could set up an individual conversation where we go undetailed topics and to discuss a potential fit, we could start the evaluation of applied SAFe, and we can talk about further details, probably like the implementation roadmap, licensing, alignment, agile supplier management, and other points of interest. You have here my coordinates, and you can reach out to us on several in the US numbers and the Swiss numbers or the emails. And now I'm really open to questions and answers. Ingo, has there been any questions so far?
Both. So thanks, Peter, for this very interesting webinar. There has been one question which probably has been answered by me already, if mapping is only possible to CMMI or also to A-Spice, and I already answered that mapping is possible to various standards and capability models, and I think it has been demonstrated on one of your slides later in your presentation. There was another question. Okay, sorry.
I can answer. I can comment on that question. Yes, I think there are predefined reference models, 27 or 30 reference models available right now. And there are several companies who ask for reference models which we never heard of. The last I can think of was the HIPAA. Never heard about that. That's the Health Insurance Health Protecting Act that was stated by Ronald Reagan, and this is for e-health applications. And usually if you have a reference model which is not existing, you can incorporate that into stages, and it takes, depending on the complexity, 5 days to 10 days work, and then you have that reference model in stages. Okay, another question was...
Yeah, there was another question regarding PI planning. What happens if the quality of the features is not good enough?
Mm-hmm. That is a typical question. That is a good question, because the features. I go back to SAFe, to applied SAFe. Let me go back here. We are in the program here, and the features, they're like, you see, you have the features, we build them, and teams, they build their stories based on features. So it's a big alignment on the features. And if the quality of that feature isn't really good, then you see it in the PI planning that the teams are not able to say, hey, I understand that feature, and that means that we're going to implement this story, and this story, and there are this and this dependency. And if the quality is not good, they cannot do that. So this is a systematic problem, and I think this has been built into the Kanban board as well. Yeah, we have funneled features, so features can come up at any time in the process of a KI. So you never know, somebody has a good idea, this could be done this way or this way. So they have those features, and they are collected by the release train engineer, and then the product manager is responsible for analyzing such features to make sure that the quality is good enough, and he does that by having a work in progress limit on the backlog. And if they're good enough and not good enough, then they need some refinement. So you go back to the backlog refinement, which is another process. Or if it's good, and if it's good enough, then he has to decide if they want to take that into planning. So it goes to the PI planning, and it will be prioritized in the backlog for the next PIs to come. Or if it's not such a good idea, and this has been decided by the product manager, they just will archive that feature for future use if they come up with the same idea then, and they see, we have thought about that already, and due to this and this reason, we wouldn't want to do it. Otherwise, it would go into the PI planning. So there's a systematic security breach that you have good quality on the features, and if it happens that the features are still not that good, it will pop up in the next retrospective of the PI planning, where you say, hey, why did we have features which haven't been defined good enough? And then you can talk about and find root causes and improve it systematically again, and then it should get much better in the next iteration. That was a long answer. I hope that answered the question. Sorry. Yes.
I think so.
Are there any?
There's another question on the chat from Tim. He asked, can you use stages to show adherence to a standard? The short answer is yes, but Peter, maybe you can give the more detailed answer because you already demonstrated this in some part of your presentation.
I think so. So probably I don't understand the question. Can you repeat it?
Is it possible to use, or can you use stages to show the adherence to a standard, that you follow a standard?
Yes.
Yes, the compliance mapping. Yeah.
Yeah, no, one thing, that is just one part of it. With the compliance mapping, you can show that your processes are compliant. And if you say the work product, I can show that. And there's still some minutes left. Let's go back here. So in the reference models, so let's, for example, the Automotive Spice 3.0 is here. And it consists of work products as well, practice and work products. And if they're asking for a software item, for example, we did a mapping that software item is reflected in applied safe with that and that. This would be the solution intent, for example, the solution context in safe, which we would map to the software item. And then if you can show the measures that the solution context has been changed accordingly and that it exists, then you have a proof that you have really fulfilled the software item. That was the slide where I showed that where the process adherence is shown with metrics and real work products, and this is how it would be done. So you would really see the proof that it has been created and it's existing, and this is something that the regulators usually really accept. We have done that at a very large financial company where we reached a CMMI maturity level 3 worldwide with 9,500 developers, and we showed them the mechanics and how we do it, and we gave them the metrics and access to the systems, and then they did some tests and they were good, and then he said, okay, we believe you, this is good enough, and you get and we got the okay from the Fed and the FINMA here in Switzerland, and the auditor in England. I don't remember that one. Yeah, but anyway, from London Stock Exchange. We got it.
Thank you. There is another question on the chat from Daniel. How can SAFe be best applied when there are several independent projects of different scope? His company has currently the problem that to properly prioritize the features because there are so many different features of them.
Yeah. Okay, probably the first question, they have several projects running on. If they're related then you could have probably several trains in the same value stream, and so you would coordinate dependencies between those trains in the value stream level. Let me go back on the staging area, the 4 level. So you would have 4 programs, 4 trains here, and they would manage its dependencies, and the suppliers usually having big, large programs as well all together. And then if they, what was the end of the question? The second thing.
So it was more or less an explanation that he currently has the problem to properly prioritize the features because there are so many different features.
Yes, okay. And prioritization of features, that is a common problem. And usually the business, the customers, they say all the features are important and we all need them right now. Even if you can't deliver them, it's always the same. Let's say, I would call that a gaming. And this has been discovered as a systematic problem as well. And Scaled Agile Framework comes up with the notion of the weighted shortest job first prioritization, and it's really a little bit starts a little bit like the planning poker, and you take one feature which you want to implement, and you say, hey, the smallest feature you can imagine, the business says, this is a 1 for me. And starting from that, he says, relatively seen, the value of the other feature is probably twice as the smallest one, which I can imagine the other one has a 10 or 15. So these are just value numbers for that specific features. Then you take the weight, how much time it needs to build that, and you also say how much does it cost me when I don't deliver it because I'm losing business. And you calculate that, and you come up with a ratio, and this is the weight then, the cost of delay divided by the duration. And here in this example, you would see, hey, A brings the biggest value, so I would do it immediately rather than C. And this is a proven practice. I've seen that really in practice several times. It's amazing how that works and how that brings people thinking differently on the features as just stating, hey, they are all important and we read them right now. We need them right now. This is really something that works. Yeah, you have to train it. And if you do a leading sales training of 2 days where you get a certification from Scaled Agile, you will do exercises with that, and then you will really experience it by yourself. Hope this is answering the question.
I think so, yes, thank you. Yeah, we got in the chat already the reply from Daniel. So we reached the top of the hour. No more questions in the chat right now. Peter, thank you very much for this very interesting webinar. As we said, we will distribute, you will get an email where we distribute the slides or give you a download link for the slides, and also where you can download the recording of this webinar. And with this, I would like to hand over a final short time to Peter to also say goodbye to you, everybody. Thanks from our side, from Method Park, and bye-bye. Peter.
Thank you very much for your attention and your time, and I wish you a nice continuation of the day. Here in Switzerland, it starts to get dark, and if you're in America, have a nice day, and here in Europe, all the best. Have a nice evening. Thank you. Goodbye.